Imagine an island where women never age, hidden from the rest of modern civilization, guarding a secret that could make any man immortal. Sounds like a paradise, right? Well, think again, because every single man who has ever tried to find this place has vanished from the face of the earth. Except for one. A legendary explorer named Lee managed to set foot on this mysterious shore 10 years ago and was never heard from again. Rumor has it, he was so mesmerized by the untouched beauties of the island that he chose to stay forever. But for his son, Wang, these aren't just wild rumors, they are clues to finding his long-lost father. Driven by desperation, Wang decides to join a highly funded, incredibly dangerous expedition, backed by a ruthless billionaire named Mr. Song, a man obsessed with cheating death at any cost. Wang hooks up with his buddy Hyunwoo, a guy who proudly claims to be an expert navigator fresh out of the Somali Navy SEALs. Armed with a state-of-the-art GPS tracker supplied by Mr. Song's corporate suits, the duo hits the open ocean, full of hope and chasing legends. But fast forward 2 whole months into the voyage, and reality hits hard. They are drifting aimlessly in the middle of a massive empty ocean, completely out of food, and their high-tech GPS is doing absolutely nothing but glitching. Just as despair sets in, a flock of birds flies overhead, and a massive bird dropping lands directly on Wang's face. Now normally, that is a terrible start to your day, but to Wang, it is the best smell in the world because it means one thing. Land is close. Peer through the binoculars and boom, there it is. An uncharted island peeks through the horizon, but if they thought the hard part was over, they were dead wrong. The waves are too violent for their ship to dock, forcing the boys to abandon ship and swim for their lives through the crashing tides. When they finally wash up on the sandy shore, completely exhausted and barely conscious, they open their eyes to a surreal sight. They are completely surrounded by a silent army of fierce women staring down at them. Wang mutters, wondering if they actually stumbled onto the fabled Virgin Island, but receives nothing but cold, terrifying silence. The girls drag them back to their village for interrogation, where Hyunwoo tries to play the tough military guy and smack talks their captors. Big mistake. One of the tribal warriors immediately shuts him up by beating him black and blue with a literal durian stick, and the boys are thrown into a cramped wooden cage. That is when the leader of the tribe, known as the patriarch, steps forward. She calmly drops a bombshell. In the last 500 years, only a handful of elite navigators have ever breached their borders. Hyunwoo thinks she is completely bluffing about the 500 years thing and asks if they are secretly vampires, but the women just walk away, leaving them to rot. But Wang isn't planning on being a prisoner for long. As soon as the coast is clear, he pulls out a hidden knife he smuggled in, and the boys wait for the pitch black cover of night to stage a risky prison break. They split up. Hyunwoo heads into the thick jungle to scout an escape route, while Wang sneaks into the village to look for clues about his father. But navigating an ancient, hostile island in the dark is a recipe for disaster. Hyunwoo steps right into a series of brutal, highly synchronized tribal traps. First, he plummets down a hidden pitfall, then a rigged wooden arrow pierces him from behind, and to top it all off, a barrage of swinging coconuts hammers him right in the skull. Meanwhile, Wang sneaks into a quiet hut, only to realize too late that he has just walked into the village's communal bathhouse. 2 tribal sisters, the innocent Mu Yan and her sister Moon, walk in and start undressing. Wang tries to pull off a stealthy cinematic escape, but Moon spots him. Desperate, Wang tries to bribe her with a snack from his pockets, but she lets out a blood-curdling scream that alerts the entire village. Suddenly, it is a full-blown manhunt. Wang sprints through the village with spears flying past his head before he is brutally tackled and captured. Dragged into the tribal trial room, the patriarch informs him that breaking out of prison and spying on their women carries an automatic death penalty. Just then, a heavily bruised, limping Hyunwoo bursts in, trying to save his friend by claiming he is a deadly martial arts master. The women, thoroughly annoyed by his constant lying, just beat him up all over again. In their culture, a man seeing them naked brings a curse of ugliness, and the only way to wash it away is with blood. But before the execution, the patriarch demands to know why they are here. When Wang reveals he is looking for his father who disappeared a decade ago, the patriarch's eyes turn cold. She admits she knew his father, but adds that if she ever sees him again, she will kill him herself. With that, she orders her warriors to take the boys to their sacred tree and literally grill them alive. The boys are stuffed into 2 separate giant wooden barrels, right next to a massive cooking fire. Hyunwoo is panicking, convinced they are being marinated for dinner, when Mu Yan sneaks up to Wang's barrel holding a massive blade. She lashes out at him for ruining her purity, declaring she has to kill him to lift the curse. But instead of slicing his throat, she cuts his ropes and frees them both. Turns out she is too pure-hearted to watch them burn, but our genius apprentices run straight back into the trap-infested jungle and immediately get caught again. By morning, they are tied right back up in front of the sacred tree, surrounded by spices, with the fire roaring beneath them. But just as the flames lick at their feet, a frantic scream echoes from the beach. One of the tribal women, Chan Hua, is drowning in the violent ocean currents. As the entire village rushes to the shore, Wang and Hyunwoo use the chaos to chafe their ropes against the heat, successfully breaking free. But in their rush, they accidentally knock over the fire, setting the ancient sacred tree ablaze. As they sprint towards safety, Wang looks back at the beach and sees the women weeping, completely helpless against the raging ocean waves. Even though these people tried to roast him twice, Wang's heroic instincts kick in. He dives headfirst into the treacherous ocean, battles the current, and drags the drowning girl back to safety, while Hyunwoo jumps in to perform life-saving CPR. It works. The girl coughs up water, and the tribe stands there completely stunned by the bravery of the two outsiders. Back at the trial room, Chan Hua begs the patriarch to spare the boys, clearly developing a massive crush on Hyunwoo. The patriarch is genuinely considering mercy until a warrior runs in with devastating news. The sacred tree is completely scorched. Finding out the boys caused the fire, the patriarch orders their immediate execution, but Mu Yan and Chan Hua step in, begging for a compromise. Reluctantly, the patriarch gives the boys a brutal ultimatum. They have exactly 3 months to nurse the ancient tree back to life. If it dies, they die. The next day, the survival mission begins. The boys spend weeks scrubbing charcoal off the bark and watering the roots. Over the next 3 months, something beautiful happens. Using their modern tools and knowledge, the boys help the tribe catch massive hauls of fish and teach them advanced farming techniques. Hyunwoo finds himself showered with daily gifts of flowers and durians from a smitten Chan Hua. One afternoon, Wang notices a deadly viper creeping up behind Mu Yan. He tackles her out of the way, sending them rolling into a classic romantic embrace, only for a giggling Mu Yan to reveal the snake is actually her pet. Talk about awkward timing. But the real miracle happens the next morning. The sacred tree sprouts its very first green leaf. That night, the village throws a massive, joyful feast, dancing under the stars. Watching Mu Yan smile, Wang has a profound realization. The value of life isn't about how long you live, but about finding something so precious you would willingly die to protect it. And for him, that something is this tribe. Later that night, Mu Yan takes Wang aside and shares the dark, hidden history of her people. Centuries ago, they were known as the Witch Tribe, a peaceful clan that reproduced naturally through parthenogenesis and guarded a mythical seed called the Yuan, which holds the absolute secret to life and vitality. But human greed caught wind of it, leading to a brutal genocide. The ancient clan leader gave the last seed to the youngest girl and told her to run. That girl washed up on this deserted island, planted the seed and watched it bloom into a sanctuary, slowing her aging down by 10 times. That young girl is none other than the current patriarch. The next morning, Mu Yan takes Wang to a hidden cave where his father was last seen. There, buried in the dust, Wang finds his father's old journal. As he flips through the pages, tears hit the paper. His father wrote that he chose to stay and fake his disappearance because he realized that if modern men ever found this island, their corporate greed would destroy this peaceful paradise. He hid the truth to protect them, hoping his son would one day understand. Deeply moved, Wang smashes his GPS tracker to pieces, determined to bury the island's coordinates forever. But suddenly, the broken device emits a sharp digital beep. It is still transmitting thousands of miles away. Mr. Song's radar lights up. The billionaire's heavily armed mercenary ship is already closing in. Wang and Hyunwoo sprint to the patriarch, warning her that an army is coming for the seed. Working together, they map out a desperate defense plan. When Mr. Song's advanced scouts land on the beach, the tribal women play along, using their beauty to lure the mercenaries into a false sense of security, getting them completely drunk and knocking them out cold. But Mr. Song isn't a billionaire by being stupid. Sensing a trap, he lands on the shore with a heavily armed strike team. Wang and Hyunwoo try to intercept him at the gates, lying that there is nothing here, but Mr. Song's men quickly overpower them, tying up the boys and the entire village. Holding a gun to Moon's head, Mr. Song demands the secret to immortality. To save her family, the patriarch has no choice but to lead the armed mercenaries straight to the sacred cave where the Yuan seed is kept. But the Witch Clan doesn't surrender that easily. Midway through the jungle, Chanhua catches a guard off guard, sparking a chaotic, all-out tribal war. Spears clash against modern assault rifles. In the madness, Mr. Song slips away, dragging Wang with him. He straps a high-tech time bomb to Wang's chest, threatening to detonate it unless he hands over the seed. Suddenly, Hyunwoo and the warriors ambush Mr. Song, but with his last gasping breath, Mr. Song smiles wildly and presses the remote detonator. A glowing red countdown appears on Wang's chest. 30 seconds. There is no time to defuse it. Looking at the terrified face of Mu Yan, Wang finally understands the choice his father made 10 years ago. To save the balance of nature, to save the woman he loves, he has to make the ultimate sacrifice. Wang turns around and sprints as fast as his legs can carry him, diving deep into the dark ocean waves. A second later, a massive, deafening explosion rocks the sea, sending a wall of water into the sky. Mu Yan screams out in absolute agony, falling to her knees as the entire tribe weeps for the brave outsider who gave his life to keep their secret safe. The screen fades to black, but true sacrifice has a way of changing destiny. As the credits roll, the camera pans back to the mystical shoreline, bathed in the glowing magical energy of the island's waters. Wang's eyes suddenly snap open, gasping for air. The island itself has resurrected him, welcoming him not as an outsider, but as its eternal protector. If you were handed a secret that could make you live forever, but it meant completely cutting yourself off from the rest of the world and leaving everything behind, would you take it? Let me know in the comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more intense movie recaps. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.